All right, hello everybody. This is Dave Zavislin, the CAD manager here at Nolte Associates, and we are going to do the first part of our two-part AutoCAD upgrade training session today. Got a small turnout, but hopefully I'll give a equally good presentation as I've done in the past sessions. After today's session, you will get an email from me with an invite to next week's session, so you can sign up for that one also. And if you can't make next week's session, you can sign up for any of the Part 2 sessions that I hold in the future. And I'm trying to do these about every 3 to 4 weeks as we get everybody upgraded. Before I get too far in, I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions just to see who and what my audience is. I mean, it's a small enough group I can kind of see, but it's just kind of a way I can see who's awake and who's with me. First question I'll ask is how often you guys use AutoCAD or Land Desktop, how much, how, not necessarily proficient, but how involved are you in CAD every day here? And let's see if we can get everybody to vote, and 100% voted. And we'll show what that is. So a couple of you are 1 to 2 hours a day, and the rest are full-time CAD users. Actually, probably one of you is a casual user. Hopefully what we'll show you today and next week will entice you to start using the 2009 products from Autodesk and make the upgrade, make that change. Another poll I'm going to ask is how many people have 2009 currently installed on their computer, or no, you're still waiting for the upgrade. All right, and then you've got one person who has no idea what they have on their computer. And there we go. They have yes. So 4 of you out of the 5 here that are joining us today, 4 of you have it installed, and 1 of you hopefully will get that installed fairly shortly. This should hopefully entice you to go bother your local PC analyst to say, hey, give me the software. Dave showed me what it can do. There's some pretty cool stuff here. All right. I'm going to jump over into my PowerPoint now and hopefully not kill you too much with PowerPoints, but just hit on a few items here, and then I'll dive into the demonstration portion of today's presentation. All right. So first thing we'll talk about is an overview of what is on the new, what we're calling the V7 CAD workstation for Nolte. Not only what's new with the Autodesk products, but kind of highlight a few of the other application updates that we've put on. We'll talk about the Catapult application, which is a new tool that we've put on the workstation to replace the CAD Launcher program. And then I'll spend the majority of today, and then next week's session will cover new features of AutoCAD 2009. All right, let me look at overview. All right, the handouts. I'm trying to be sustainable, so I'm not printing handouts all that much anymore. You can get them online. So let me jump over and show you where you can find those here. And I'm going to come into my Internet Explorer onto the mynolte.com page. And hopefully everybody has the CAD news panel on their mynolte.com configuration here, because this is where I publish everything, kind of let you guys know what's going on. A couple of things on here is the, where the heck is the handout? Oh, I took it off of here. So we'll have to go to the CAD support page here. So let me click on this link here for Nolte CAD support. And we've got the handout set so it will sort near the top of the list. It's actually been viewed quite a bit now, so it'll rise to the top of the list here as the most viewed documents. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that on the CAD workstation upgrade. And this document's broken down into an overview section, and what this list is what we have installed on the CAD workstation on what we're calling again the V7 image. At the top here we list the Autodesk applications. We got both Civil 3D and Land Desktop. the 2009 version and the 2007 version. And this table here lists the various profiles that we've created for those versions. So you can see, say you want to do StormCAD, you'll see that that is only available through the Land Desktop Companion for 2009. And Land Desktop Companion is just a long name for Land Desktop. You cannot purchase Land Desktop by itself anymore. It is only part or available with the Civil 3D application. So this lists the profiles that we've created and which version of Land Desktop or Civil 3D you can run to get to that profile. All right, additionally from Autodesk, we've got their design review, which is their DWF viewer and markup tool. We've got the drawing true view, which will let you open and view any AutoCAD drawing. Then we also installed their Navisworks viewer, which will let you view Navisworks files. And if you're not familiar with that, Navisworks is a software that Autodesk purchased or acquired that allows them to basically it'll view and render files from most industry standard CAD and design applications, anything from Autodesk to Bentley to Revit and some of the other design and engineering applications. All right, so moving along here, the Bentley Haystead applications, we've upgraded those. You'll see that all the SewerCAD, StormCAD, and WaterCAD are all on the V8i version now. Those are all available. We do have those in standalone, and also you can run those in the Land Desktop 2009 application. We are unable to configure the Haystead stuff to work in both 2009 and 2007, so you will have to use those if you want to in CAD. Use the 2009. The Bentley applications, MicroStation, for some of the legacy work, we still have version J. We also have the XM version and the latest version, the V8i. And then corresponding with that, we have both the XM and V8i versions of Inroads installed. Basic CAD tools, we still have all the same programs that we've had in the past, nothing new there. The Esri GIS tools, we are now upgraded to version 9.3. MathCAD's not changed, and I'm not sure I have any structural folks on here. I'm not seeing any. Got a couple surveyors, really nothing new in survey. The only change that I think is going to impact the survey is the Trimble Link application is not available in Land Desktop through 2009. They've only produced a version that runs in Land Desktop 2007, and then the both Civil 3D 2007 and 2009. So as we move to the 2009 products, any Trimble Link data importing will be done through Civil 3D since that's not available in Land Desktop. And then the final list of applications here is just all the water applications that we have installed, and these are pretty much everything that we've had on the previous workstation image. We just have some of the more recent versions, which is the main purpose of doing the new CAD build, is to give you guys the latest and greatest versions of all the applications. All right, so that's the overview. Just work my way through here real quickly. The Untitled Chapter just talks a little bit about how to use the Catapult application. So if you forget what I show you today, you can come back in and take a look at this on your own. In these handouts, anywhere you see this little Show Me button, let me go ahead and click on that. You will actually get a little AVI file that you can play, and I'll go ahead and start this off. And what it does is just gives you a little quick demo, and a lot of this is what I was showing you. I have to mute this a sec. Sorry, there it goes. It will show you how to do the various functions, and a lot of this is what I'm showing you in today's demo also. Most of these videos are anywhere from 40 seconds to 6 minutes in length, depending on the subject matter. All right. So if you pause it or stop it to get back to the document, you just right-click anywhere in here and hit back, and that'll take you back to where you were in the handout. So I'll go through all these Catapult items today. For AutoCAD 2009, in the handouts here for the Autodesk applications, I list a lot of bullet items. indicating what are new features, what are new commands, what are enhancements to commands, and quite a few of these also have a little show me icon where I have an AVI corresponding to this. Because of time constraints, I don't have a chance to show you everything that is new in the 2009 products. I'm trying to hit just the highlights. The idea is then you can come back into this handout, read up on what is new, and go from there. Other resources, there's also the Autocad help, which I would definitely encourage you to take a look at, and also the new feature workshop that's available from the help pull down in the Autocad programs as well. One new chapter that we added just this past week is we've been coming up with some performance issues for AutoCAD 2009, and I just kind of like to make you aware of these. I will show you some new stuff like the modeless layer dialog, which I can leave open and have it running all the time, but we're starting to find, boy, if I leave my layer dialog open and I have it parked maybe on another monitor, it really bogs down my AutoCAD performance because AutoCAD is continually trying to upgrade that tool or upgrade that window, excuse me. So yes, I'll be showing you some new features. This chapter here in the handout says, yes, this is new and cool, but if you're finding that your AutoCAD is a little sluggish, here's some things you might want to do to boost that performance. So just kind of make you aware of those items there. LAN desktop updates, nothing new really for LAN desktop other than it's working in 2009. I do want to stress for you that this is the last version of LAN desktop. Starting with 2010, the only product from Autodesk for civil engineering is the Civil 3D application. So that's going to give us about a year to 2 years, maybe 3 at the most, to get everybody migrated over to Civil 3D. Okay, so here's what's new in Civil 3D. Again, mostly just bullet items listing everything. I'm not going to go over a whole lot here because I really don't see any Civil 3D users in my list, and most of you are going to learn Civil 3D on the 2009 application, and hopefully we'll do that training this coming year here in the offices. All right, so that's the handout. Let me jump back into my PowerPoint. All right. Again, just pointing out that the program does have the LAN desktop 2007 and Civil 3D 2007 that allows you to continue working on existing projects with your project team with the current version of LAN desktop and Civil 3D. Moving forward, we are upgrading to 2009. Just so you know, people are saying, well, didn't 2010 just come out? It takes us about a year to wait for all of the patches and bug fixes to come out. We have to wait for all the third-party applications to get their versions released, and then we also have to do all of our customization. We have to build the image, we have to configure it all, and by that time we're about a year later and we're ready to go with it. So that's why we are now rolling out 2009. We probably won't start seeing any 2010 installations until about 6 months from now once we get some of the patches and updates from Autodesk on that. All right. I talked about the Bentley apps and the Esri. The schedule for this, we are currently in the deployment for most of the folks in California and Utah. Most everybody in those regions should have the 2009 V7 image put on their computers. We're still rolling it out in the Colorado region. A little short-handed there. Aaron can only do so much at one time, but they are hopefully within the next month or two should have all that finished. So we're looking probably by the end of June or July where everybody at Nolte should be upgraded. All right, as far as using 2009, we'll talk about Catapult. I was going to talk about file versions, but we'll hold off on that. All right, the Catapult application, it replaces CAD Launcher. We used to buy that program from our reseller here in California called CAD Masters, and they are no longer supporting or producing upgrades to CAD Launcher, so we created our own version here. Nice thing about being our own version is we have the ability to upgrade it and make it do what we want it to do. And we've actually already made some modifications to it based on early user feedback and some unique project functionality we had to address. Main thing CAD Launcher is going to do is it allows you to select which AutoCAD version and profile you want to use, just like we did with CAD Launcher. And the other thing that's kind of critical, especially for people using Land Desktop in Civil 3D, it will set the project location parameters to make sure that you are working with project data from the right project, from the correct location. I also want to direct you to the CAD forum, and hopefully some of you guys saw the CAD forum, or not the CAD forum, excuse me, the Sustainability Forum presentation that Laura Bonich and Darcy Smith did last week. I encourage you to explore the forums, take a look at the CAD forum. And there are some discussion groups there where I'm trying to solicit and encourage discussions, comments, and feedback on Land Desktop, Civil 3D, AutoCAD, and there's actually a forum there for Catapult. As we grow this application, we're going to try to evolve it into more of a project management, document management tool, so any kind of feedback or suggestions would be appreciated. So that kind of gives you a chance to go look at the, to provide those inputs. All right, well, I'm going to jump to my desktop here, so let me escape out of my application here. And we'll do a little bit of demo here. So the Catapult icon's got this little icon with the Nolte Active O and the arrow shooting up through it here. And I'm just going to double click on it to fire it off. All right. There are some performance issues with it if you have a very large project with hundreds of drawing files in a folder. It is a little slow to open up sometimes because it has to populate this list of drawings. And that's one of the feedback items that we got from users, and we're currently kind of working on version 2 right now, and we think we've got some of those issues taken care of. All right, real basically, the way we work with Catapult, up at the top is kind of very identical to what we did in CAD Launcher, is you can tell which version you want to be working with. So say I want to look at Land Desktop 2009, and unfortunately we were stuck with this big long name here. Over to the right of that, we can then get to all the different profiles that we want to use. We want to use, at Nolte, all of the LDT 2009, MAP 2009, basically anything with the 2009 on it. Don't use this Land Desktop one. Autodesk Land Desktop still makes this one. There's nothing in it. Your AutoCAD won't be configured correctly. Don't use that one. We keep deleting it. They keep making it. Okay, and so here's all the different profiles for that. A lot of my presentation today, I'll be using just the Civil 3D one, and that only has a few basic profiles in that one as well. And then for those of you who want to go back to the old version of Land Desktop, there's all the original profiles minus the Haystead applications that you have on your previous workstation. All right, so let me jump back. I'm gonna stay on Civil 3D for right now. All right, to work with this, over on the left side here, we have a panel that lists all of the projects that you are working on. Okay, we've kind of modeled this after CAD Launcher and Esri's ARC catalog. And one of the biggest frustrations users had with CAD Launcher is you could either show all projects or the last 5. And we have a lot of users, especially on the survey side, where they're working on a dozen or so or 2 dozen smaller projects, so they got their hands in a bunch of other projects, and it was always frustrating because the CAD Launcher would only show 5. Well, Catapult, we set it up to where you get to pick and choose which projects are displayed. All right, and we can do that, either pick on these 2 buttons here to add and remove projects, or I can right-click down here in the tree view, and I can say, well, add a job folder. All right, and that'll bring up a little folder browser window here. And you want to go to your end drive, and I'm going to come down, and I'm going to select my training project for today, and I'm going to pick on that. You can drill down and pick a subfolder. The only recommendation I make is that you only add a job once. You don't add the CAD folder, then come back and add the receivable folder and whatnot. I would either work right off the root of the job or off the CAD folder. Those are about the only 2 options that I would suggest. Okay, I'm going to start off with just the job right there. All right, so I'll pick on that now, and you'll see it'll then show me all the subdirectories to that job, and I can work my way down, and I just click on the little plus sign here to expand the folders. And in order to speed it up, we don't actually query a folder until you select it on the list here. So if I pick on the master folder, we'll see that I actually have subdirectories there, but that didn't show up until I clicked on that folder. Once I select a folder over on the right, I will get a list of all of the drawing files in that folder, and we can sort this by the different headers here. So I can sort it by date modified. Click that again to reverse the order so I can see here's the files I've been working on today. I can do it by size, and unfortunately in this version the size is sorted alphabetically, not numerically, and that's something we're working on, trying to find a better sort routine for this. And I can then also click on the drawing name header here, and it will sort it by file name. All right, so same thing if I go to any of the other folders, we can work on that and pick and choose what it is that we're going to open. All right, so to open my drawing, let me come down here, and actually let's do a couple of things here. I want to talk a little bit about LAN desktop projects here. So let me switch to my LAN desktop LDT profiles, and I'm going to open up my planimetric drawing. All right, a couple of things CAD Launcher is doing for us. It is setting, or not CAD Launcher, Catapult is setting the Sofdesk project root to the Sofdesk folder under the job number. And for people using Civil 3D, we actually have a Civil 3D working folder that we are also setting to the job Civil 3D folder, and that's where Civil 3D is going to locate what are called data shortcuts and our survey databases. All right, so that's what's happening there. So let me go ahead and open that up. All right, you'll see that Catapult did not have any tools to create or select a Sofdesk project. The reason we chose not to do that is it was just a lot extra work for us. We're going to rely on LAN Desktop to manage and maintain our projects for us. So as this fires up here, and I apologize, you should notice that the 2009 products do take a little bit longer to load the first time every day compared with 2007. And just like any software, you add more functionality, it's going to require more hardware, more RAM, more memory, more resources. So it will take a little bit longer to open up some of these files. Okay, then what you're used to in 2007. If you're finding that it's drastically slower, where it took you only a minute in 2007, but it takes 5 minutes in 2009, then you need to work with your PC analyst, and there's probably some hardware configuration issues going on that we need to correct. All right, so come in. Yeah, right. I'm in my LAN desktop, and what you'll see is first time you come into a drawing that does not have a project associated to it, you will get the this dialog here where it's going to ask you to select or create a project. You do need to make sure, again, if you use Catapult correctly, it should have the right job number, and then you should be able to select from the list of projects in that job. Okay. Other thing I want to point out that while I'm in LAN Desktop, if I do the open command in LAN Desktop, let me actually get well, we'll go ahead and leave it like that. That's fine. I got my AutoCAD going off the screen here. All right. It will open up the project, but you may find that it is not looking in the correct folder for drawing files. And this is actually LAN Desktop's open dialog, and it's a project-based dialog. So if it's not showing you the CAD folder here, what you're going to need to do is go into this project details button here. Down at the bottom, toggle fixed path, because the default will be drawing folder, but select the fixed path option, and then you want to browse to the CAD folder on your job. All right, so I'll pick OK to that and pick OK, and that only needs to be done once on any project. All right, once it's done on a project, everybody who connects to that project will use that folder. All right, well, I don't have any drawings in my CAD folder, but what I can do now is I can come down to my list and I can say, well, here's my master folder, and I can now open up drawings from my master folder here. All right, and just like in previous versions, LAN Desktop is only going to let me have one drawing open at a time. Okay, same thing when I do new command in Land Desktop, I'm going to get the project-based new, where I tell it my drawing name, make sure I get the right project path, the right project name, and then again I can select which folder I want to create the drawing in. I can come down here, select my template, click OK, create my new drawing. All right, so just a little difference there for Land Desktop. Again, the online handout goes into a little bit more detail and has some demos showing us how to do those items. Okay, let me close that down. I'm not going to save that. All right, let me go back to Catapult. And I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to open a drawing using my Civil 3D, which will allow me to progress into the rest of my presentation here. And I got some sample files I'm working with. All right. To create a drawing, I guess while I'm here before I open that, to create a drawing, we switch over to this tab, and you can select your template files at this location, and then down at the bottom you type in your new drawing name and then hit the Create New button. Okay. If you want to select your template file from another location, there's a little File Browse button here, which will let you browse to a different folder to locate your template files, and then the Reset button will just reset this back to the default folder here where we store, or where AutoCAD stores the template files. All right. Actually, before I get much further here, the Recent Drawing tab, this shows you only the drawings that you opened with Catapult. It does not, at this time, show you anything that you opened while you were inside your AutoCAD. It's only ones that we opened with Catapult. We've also segregated these by version. So if I go to my 2007, we'll see I haven't opened anything with this one. I've opened those 4 with LDT 2007, and the reason we did this is so as you migrate up to 2009, you don't open any 2007 drawings. Okay, so let me go back into 2009. I'm going to open that drawing. All right, I'm going to say that's enough for Catapult here. Let me jump back into my PowerPoint. All right, so we talked about Catapult. In terms of my AutoCAD. All right, let me kind of introduce some of the items here. What we'll talk about today is, first off, let me mention file compatibility. AutoCAD 2009 uses the exact same file format as AutoCAD 2007. Where we're going to have issues is the Civil 3D and Land Desktop objects. So for those of you using Land Desktop, a Land Desktop contour or point object in 2009, if you try to open that drawing in 2007, you'll get some errors because Land Desktop 2007 won't know how to deal with those objects. And same thing with Civil 3D. All right, so on a job that you're working on, you're going to need to use Land Desktop 2007 until everybody on the project has been upgraded. At that point, then you can start using the 2009. Okay, to go back to 2007, you're going to have to use that File Export to AutoCAD command in Land Desktop and Civil 3D to be able to give these drawings to sub-consultants or clients that are using older versions of AutoCAD. All right, file format. Now, if you're doing just AutoCAD stuff, lines, text, circles, polylines, you can open the drawings between 2007 and 2009 without any problems. For Land Desktop, all of the project data, the alignments, the TINs, the survey data, all of that is compatible between 2009 and 2007. So I don't have to do anything in terms of my Land Desktop data. It's just going to be those contour and point objects in my drawings. All right. What I will show you today, if I can get going here, we're going to take a look at the new interface, some of the elements such as the ribbon panel and the drawing browser or the object browser and so on in the interface. We'll look at a tool called Quick Properties. We'll look at the new layer dialog and some of the new layer properties that are available while we're working in viewports. I'll show you some new XREF clipping options, and if I have time today, we'll do 3D viewing, and usually I don't have time to get to that. What I will show you next week for part 2 is we'll take a look at 3D viewing if I don't get to it this week. We'll look at the Action Recorder utility, which is a tool that lets you record your own macros. We'll look at the new annotative text and dimension styles and how to use the annotation scale in 2009. We'll look at some of the new enhancements and features for M-text, dimensions, and tables. And then if I have time, we'll look at the multi-line block attribute, and then the PDF extension in Civil 3D 2009 is a utility that allows you to plot or publish PDF files that are, let me say this correctly here, that will let you control the size and resolution of the PDF. You can include layer information in the PDF. And then the PDF extension also has a PDF underlay tool which lets you reference a PDF file just like you would a raster image or a DWF file. So you can actually view PDFs inside of Autocad. But that's only available using the Civil 3D 2009 application. You can't do it through Land Desktop. All right, so we did Catapult. Let's look at the Autocad interface here. So let me jump over to my Autocad, which I now have open. All right, let me close that one. So I've launched this in Civil 3D, so we've got the Civil 3D tool space, which at this point I will close down also because we're not going to talk about Civil 3D this afternoon. We're only talking about what's new in terms of the Autocad environment. All right, on the environment, what you'll see is in addition to my menu bar with my pull-down menus and my toolbars, AutoCAD has this new area here called the ribbon. Some people like it, some don't. I'm starting to use it more and more. I think as we upgrade to 2010, it'll become a very integral part of what we do. For now, you can kind of pick and choose whether or not you use it. You can use this button right here to minimize and maximize the ribbon panel. So let me click on that once, and that'll minimize the ribbon to where I just see the headers of the tabs. If I click it again, it will expand it fully where I not only see the headers and the panel names, but I actually see all the buttons on the panel. So this is called a panel. So I have a panel here called text, one called dimensions. If I switch to my home tab, it has all the panels associated with that. And what they're trying to do is it's kind of a combination of a pull-down menu and a toolbar. Okay, so let me click on this again. So I'll minimize it where I just see the panel names. Then if I click on or hover on a panel, it will expand the panel to show me the full panel. Any panel where it had, let me expand this, it's jumping around too much. Any panel where you see this little down arrow, if I click on that, it will expand to show me some additional tools that are available on that panel. Where you see the safety pin, I can actually pin it and I can actually lock that panel open. All right, if I unpin it and then when I move my cursor away, that panel will roll back up. I can also grab a panel and I can drag it off and park it on my desktop. All right, so that way if I'm using this one, I can minimize the other panels. This one stays open, lets me work on it. Okay, let me bring those back. And then when I'm done with this, if I hover on it, you'll see the menus expand here. And I have an option here to send it back to the ribbon, and it will park it back up here in my ribbon. Okay, so you've got different categories. One I've used a lot, and I'll show this next week when I do annotative text and dimensions. I've been using the annotate panel or ribbon group quite a bit just because it throws all my annotation tools in a nice, easy-to-use interface. I can see which styles I'm using. I got my commands to apply dimensions. It's all a real quick and easy interface. I've also created an NTools panel, which has all of our NTools commands and buttons to launch all the different NTools applications that we have, just to kind of get a little practice and give you some alternatives to getting into those tools as well. All right, so that is the ribbon. Let me come back onto here. A couple things you'll see also as I'm hovering around on here. The tooltips have modified also in 2009, where if I leave my cursor on a button long enough, I will get what's called an extended tooltip where it actually shows me a little bit more information. I can also hit the F1 key at this point and it will launch the help. Let me go ahead and bring that back over to my screen, and it will launch the help application with whatever button I was on loaded as the content. So I was on the line button, I hit F1, and it brings up the help for the line command. So real nice interactive tool here. They also have what are called object tooltips, which I don't have running right now. But let me go into options. And one of the things, again, we're seeing for performance is we can control those tooltips by, we can turn off those extended tooltips, or you can increase the amount of time it takes before that tooltip shows up. You can also turn on and off what are called the rollover tooltips, which will show up as I hover on lines and arcs. It'll show me what type of object it is. It'll show me what layer it is. And you may want to turn these off. We're starting to find that my Autocad or the Autocad behaves a little, performance is a little bit better with these features turned off. All right, for now I'm going to leave them on just because I'm trying to demo some of this functionality for you. All right, so that's the ribbon. If you don't want the ribbon, the command is RIBBONCLOSE, ribbon close, and that will close the ribbon. If you want it back, you can hit ribbon and that'll bring it back. You can also restore the ribbon by restoring your workspace. And the workspace now, we don't have a workspace toolbar anymore. It's now done through this little gear button down at the bottom on the status bar. I'll click on that and you'll see here's all my workspaces, and we've set these up very similar to what we had in 2009. So you'll see I restore my workspace, the ribbon comes back, and then in this case, since it was a Civil 3D, I get my Civil 3D tool space comes back as well. Okay, I can also, through the workspace button, I can save my own workspaces, and I can also fire off the customize command and load additional CUI files or do any customization that you'd like if you want to make your own toolbars. All right, so that's now done off this button here on the status bar. All right, so kind of turning around a little bit more here. Just like Microsoft Office, we now have a big button up here, and this is called the menu browser. So let me click on that. What it's going to show you is it has a listing of all your pull-down menus. So you can actually close your menu bar and access your pull-down menus right here. So as we come through, we can find our pull-down menus, and then as I work my way in, we can click on things and get down into the sub-menus. The one thing I really like about this is I can search menus. So say I'm learning Civil 3D and I want to learn how to do volume, so I can just start typing in volume here, and it'll actually search all of the menus and show me here's all of the commands that contain the word volume. So I can do surface volumes, I've got some grading volume tools, and then also for corridor modeling and cross sections I have my section volume tools. It also will find, say I'm looking for layer. Here's all my commands with the word layer, but it will also show you related results where the command itself doesn't have the word layer in it, but the tooltip had the word layer in it. Okay, so we know from experience the purge can purge. Let me hover back on there. You'll see that it can purge layer names from the drawing. Okay, so real neat tool to help you find commands and figure out what's going on. I can, X button here will clear my search. Okay. Other things you're going to use this for is you can display a list of all your recent documents. Okay, so then you get a nice thumbnail for it. I can control the thumbnail size by picking on the, I can go to small, to large, okay, or to just say show me icons. If I hover on a drawing, I do get a tooltip that pops up that shows me here's the drawing, date, time, modified, who modified it, and also a real nice thumbnail image of the drawing file. Okay, the pin button allows me to lock a drawing, so I can pin this one, so this drawing stays in my most recently used drawing list. No matter how many drawings I open from inside of my AutoCAD here, a pin drawing will always stay in the list, and I can toggle the pin just by clicking on the icon here. Open Documents is going to show me which files I have open, and then Recent Actions will show me recent commands that I've executed off these menus here, and I don't have any in here at this time. Okay, and you've also got a button here that'll launch off your options command. All right, and that's the menu browser. And again, it has the potential to replace our pull-down menus. Okay, over on the right here at the top, this is what's called the Info Center. And what they have done with this is it's a utility that kind of ties in all your different help functions. So again, maybe I'm looking for something on volume, and I'll click the search button, and it will go through and search all of the help files that I'm connected to show me here's all the commands with the word volume in it. So I get my AutoCAD solid modeling commands that do volume, and then I also have my Civil 3D help file, and I need to add some other ones in here. Plus it also goes in and it will search the Autodesk online, so I can actually find help from the Autodesk website, from their knowledge base directly within my AutoCAD here. All right, to customize this, let me go into this button right here. It says Info Center Settings, and what I need to do is I can have search locations, and you can come in here and you can actually add in additional help files here. So I can say, well, add in, and I can browse, and I can go to my Autodesk here. I'm in Civil 3D 2009, and I can go to my help. If I can find help, there it is, and I can pick which help files I want to be searching for. So I can say, well, I want to look at my my Civil 3D New Features Workshop, and I can add that one in. Okay, so that one is now added in. Okay, so it shows up down here, and again, let me pick OK. So now when I do my search, it will search, so I can see in the New Features Workshop, it found those additional new features. If you like one of the help items, you can come over here and click on this little icon on the right, and that will add it to your favorites, which I can then get to by clicking on the star button here, which will show me here's the favorite items that I've added in. I'll go ahead and clear that one from the favorites. All right, so real neat utility. So instead of going out and trying to figure out which help document to search, I search here, and it will search all the ones that I've applied. The little satellite dish here is a communication center tool which links you to the Autodesk websites, and you can get into the e-learning catalog. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I missed that one. And that's all the online tutorials that Autodesk has for learning their products. Great tools for those of you who want to learn more about AutoCAD and Civil 3D. And they've also got these articles, and I would really thinking about getting rid of these Techno Chronicles. They're stupid little AVIs that they have. It's kind of like a YouTube site, but they're not anything of real compelling content. Kind of a waste of time to watch some of these. But definitely using the search capability here for the Info Center, some good tools here. All right. Moving my way around here, status bar, a couple of changes you'll see is my buttons now have icons. If you would rather have the words, you can right-click on any of them and then change Use Icon, and it'll be back to the words that you're used to using. When you click on these, say I turn on Ortho Mode, the button will be highlighted in blue, indicating that the button or that option is on. When I click it again, it'll turn that off. All right, well, I'm going to go back to icons. I'm trying to learn my icons here. A couple of things you're going to see is, say, for my object snaps, if I right-click on that now, instead of having to go into settings to turn on and off object snaps, I can now actually do it right from this menu. And you can tell which ones are on because, for example, my endpoint here has this blue box around it. That indicates that my endpoint mode is on, but maybe I also want to turn on maybe perpendicular. So that one is now on. So now when I right-click, you'll see that both endpoint and perpendicular are toggled on. So it's a nice way of doing it instead of having to come in the settings and then toggling them on and off here. I can do it right off that menu. Same thing, the polar O snap. If I right-click on polar, I can quickly select one of the default angles that they have for polar O snaps, as opposed to having to go into settings to enable those. All right, new button on here. This is the quick properties, and I'll try to show you that in a little bit. All right, so that's the settings buttons. A couple new commands here. You have what's called quick view layout. So let me pick on that one. And what that does is it opens up this little utility where I can see thumbnails of all my active layouts in this drawing. I can hover on them and I can select one of the views or one of the icons here, and it will actually switch me to that layout, or I can switch back into model space. Okay. You'll also see as I hover on these, I get buttons up at the top where I can actually plot this layout without first switching to it, or I can publish this layout. So this button here is plot, this button here is publish. Okay, so I can again just quickly switch through. I can pin this utility open, so as I go through and do other commands, it'll stay open, or I can unpin it, so when I do other things in my drawing, that will close off. All right, let me open up another drawing file here just to have a little bit of variety here. So I'm going to open up my mapping. Let's do planimetrics. Okay. All right. The other button on here, the reason I did this is so we were looking at quick view layouts. They also have one called quick view drawings. So let me click on that one. It will show me all open drawings. So here's my current drawing. But then as I hover on them, I can actually get down into the layouts and work my way in from drawing to drawing. So I can say, well, I want to come to this drawing, but I want to go to that layout. Okay. Or I can go to model space from here, or I can go back to my other drawing into its model space. Okay, so a neat utility. Like the quick view layouts, I can pin it open. It has new open commands, and then if I want to manually close it, I can just click on that button there to close those down. All right. Since I brought this drawing up, let's look at a couple of things. There's that hover tooltip I mentioned when I was looking at the tooltip options in the option dialog. So you can see as I hover on an object, it will show me what that object is, what layer, what color line type it's using. Okay. I can also do something similar here with what's called quick properties. And what this does is as I select an object, I will get an abbreviated properties window that is only going to show me selected properties for that object. All right, and then if I hover on it, the dialog will expand to show me a few more options. So I can come in here and I can change layer, color, line type, any of my basic properties for that object. All right, let me click on this arc so you can see I get it for an arc. Things you can customize for this, let me go into settings. So I right-clicked on it, I'm going into settings. We can control where it appears. So right now it's defaulting to locate near my cursor, but I can say, well, let's make a floating location, and I can also set down here how many lines to display. So this is why it was only showing me 3 lines initially. So let me pick OK to that. So by doing a floating location, I can actually drag it anywhere I want. So now no matter what I pick, it will always show up in the upper left corner there. All right. I can also get into the settings or options for this by clicking on this little button here, going into settings, and again I'll say I like it actually showing up with my cursor. So now when I click again, it will show up with my cursor and I can change those properties. All right. Neat little tool. However, this is one of those ones we're finding the tooltip and the quick properties are going to impact AutoCAD performance, especially for really large drawing files. All right, so let's go back in here. So that was quick properties, so we looked at these options. Next week when we look at 3D viewing, I'll show you the steering wheel, and if we have time, show motion. When we do annotative text, we'll talk about these buttons here where you can control what your annotation scale is. We looked at the workspace switching here, so that kind of brings us around to cover some of the new features on here. All right, so we did quick properties. Let's take a look at layers here. So I'm going to open up, I got another drawing with some layer in here set up to show you some of the new layer features. All right, so I got a drawing, I've got a bunch of XREFs, I got a bunch of layers in the drawing. And we're going to start off now, and I'm going to use the button here to open up my Layer Properties Manager. All right, a couple of things you're going to see initially is that this is just like my XREF or Properties toolbars or tool palettes now, is I can park it over off to the side, let it collapse, come in, do AutoCAD commands, draw some lines, whatnot. And if I need to manipulate layer, I can hover on it, and I have my layer dialog. Okay, so it's a modeless window now. Again, performance issues, especially in paper space or layouts working with viewports, this does get very slow, so you may want to close it down as opposed to leaving it open all the time. In this mode, you'll also see that I don't have an OK or apply button on here. Changes are instant. So I've got my lines I just drew. I drew them on layer 0. If I come in and I change the color of that layer, say I change it to green, as soon as I pick OK to my color dialog, that layer changes. Same thing if I change my line type. Say I go down to hidden, pick OK, and we'll see as soon as I make the change, it's automatic. All right, if I freeze my XREF layers, all right, all my XREFs go away. All right, well, move it out of the way. See, so all my XREFs went away, and I thaw those. Boom, here they are right back. Or bam, I guess is the word. They come back to quote Emerald. All right, so real-time instant feedback on these. Okay, a couple of other items with this. Let me switch to my layout. I've got a couple of viewports here. In viewports, oops. There we go. All right, so I've got two viewports. I'm going to double-click on the viewport on the right. While I'm in a viewport, if I pan across here, we'll see now, in addition to viewport freeze, I can now set color and line type by viewport. Okay, so I can now make line work different colors in different viewports, and I no longer have to have dozens of different layers. The other thing I hope you'll notice, as I move this back and forth, I've got my columns locked here, so my first three columns are staying where they're at, and I can actually come in here and right-click, and I can tell it to unfreeze column. And now the whole thing moves, and I can come back in here and maybe right-click on my name column and tell it to freeze just that one. And now as I scroll back and forth, my name column stays put, so I can actually get over here and see which column I'm working on. All right, so let me show these viewports. I actually have some layer filters here, and I've got my contours. And I think these are in the XREF if I remember right. It's been a while. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say both my major and minor contours. I'm going to change their color. I'm going to change them, I don't know, let's go red. Okay, so we'll see those are now red, and then let's change the line type and we'll go hidden too. Let me check my scale. Oh, I want my scale to be 1. There we go. Had a bad LT scale there. So now my line types show up. So now you can see in this viewport, let me come in this viewport, we'll see that those layers are red and hidden too. You can identify layers that have overrides by a couple of clues here. First off, you get an override icon. Okay, the little viewport override. Plus the layer name will be highlighted in blue, plus the properties that are being overridden are highlighted in blue. Okay, to clear the overrides, I'm going to come over here so I can see if I want to clear the hidden, if I select this, I didn't want to select it. I'm going to do just my minor contours. I'm going to right-click on that, and then I have these remove options, and I can remove based on the column I right-clicked on, so I can do it by line type, and I can do in the current or all viewports, or I can do all the properties for the selected layer in all the viewports, or I can say clear all overrides from all layers in the current viewport or in all viewports. So I'll say let's just do the line type. Okay, so that now clears, so you can see my existing contours are now back to continuous, but my major contours are still dashed or hidden. Okay, if I select both of them now here, so I'll select both of these, I'll right-click on my color, and I'll say remove color. I'll just say in all viewports. So now they're back to color 21 and 23, and then I can finish off. I'll just right-click on the layer name over here, and then just say remove the properties for that one. So I can click on the layer here or the box here to change it, and then I right-click, and I'll have the option to remove the overrides here. So I can now do that by layer. When you set the overrides for the viewport, if you save a layer state, where's my layer states? I forgot where those buttons are. There it is, Layer State Manager. It's been a while. It will actually save viewport settings for a layer for the layer states, and I can actually restore those into other viewports. Okay. All right, a couple other things on the layer dialog. A little wrench button here. Let me click on that, and this will bring up our layer settings. And I got about 5 minutes here to finish this up. New layer notification is what I want to talk about right now, and this will show you whenever new layers are added to your current drawing or external references. So this will take care of that problem where I plot Mylars only to realize that somebody had made a layer in one of the master files that I don't want to show up in my drawing. Okay, so we're going to look at this thing. And the other thing we're going to look at is layer isolation now. Instead of locking layers, or instead of turning layers off or freezing them, when you lock layers, I can actually fade them. So I'll show you that as well. So we're going to look at new layer notification and layer locking. All right, so let me come back into model space here. Let me close my dialog. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of my XREFs, and I'm going to open that XREF. Okay, and in this drawing, I'm going to make a new layer. My markup, and we'll set that layer current, and we'll just draw a P line. You know, maybe I want somebody to do some work there, blah, blah, blah. Save it. Okay, come back into my regular drawing, reload that one. Okay, that line work is there. I don't want that to show up, but what you're going to see now is we get a new bubble or balloon notification down here that says, hey, unreconciled new layers. So AutoCAD now recognizes that a new layer has been added to one of my XREFs. So I'm going to click on the option here to view unreconciled layers. And what that does is that opens up your layer dialog, and there's a new filter here that it creates called unreconciled new layer. So when I select that filter, you'll see, hey, there's that layer that somebody made. I don't want that showing up, so I need to address what I want to do with this layer. Well, I don't want to see it, so I'm going to say freeze that layer. So it's now frozen, and then I'm going to right-click on it, and I'm going to pick this option here to reconcile the layer. So that tells AutoCAD, I've recognized and done what I want with that layer. I now want you to indicate or reconcile and know that that layer is part of this drawing. All right, so that is now taken care of. So now if somebody adds a new layer to that drawing again, that will then show up as an unreconciled layer. So a real nice tool. You will also get an alert when you try to plot and you have not dealt with unreconciled layers. You get a little alert dialog will pop up. All right, layer locking. I'm going to do this off my tool palette here because I kind of like this here. They've added the layer isolate command to the palette here. So I'm going to say isolate layer, and I got to think what's in this drawing. I'll just go ahead and isolate my layer 0. Okay, and so we'll isolate that. So what it does then is it tones down or screens all of the non-isolated objects, or all the objects on the layers I don't want. So if I actually look at my layer properties here, what you'll see is it locked all of those layers. Okay, when I unisolate, it will go back and turn the locks off. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll come in and isolate or lock my XREF layer, and that'll actually turn down all of my XREFs to where I can barely see them. On my layer tool palette here, if I expand that, I've got a little slider here where I can change how intense the fading is. So I can fade it down. I can make it to where you probably can't even see this through GoToMeeting, but it just makes it real nice that I can have these items here. They're dimmed down so they're not distracting, but I can still use my object snaps on them. I guess help if I turn on my object snaps. So you can see I can still snap to the end point of these lot lines even though they're locked. Whereas if you think about the old layer isolate in AutoCAD 2007, well, it would turn off or freeze the layers you isolated, well, that didn't do me much good. I couldn't use those for anything. All right, last thing I'll finish up with here is, let me unlock that, is, there we go, is the XREF clipping now. They have a new feature where I can clip an internal area. So for example, on this drawing here, I'd like to clip my existing contours in my site. So what we do in the past is you'd either clip and you'd do a little skinny island and you'd do an area around that and also around the outside, or you'd XREF it twice, insert it twice, clip them both. It was kind of a cumbersome process to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the XClip command, and I'm going to just clip my contour drawing here. All right, I'm going to make a new boundary, so hit return for new, and I need to specify at this point that I want to invert my clip boundaries. So that's the option you see there on the command line. So I'm going to do I for invert, and then I'm going to just do a polygonal boundary here, and I'm just going to turn my O snaps off. I don't need to be that precise right now. And we'll just click our way around my outside boundary here, do it kind of sloppy, and then return, and you'll see it will clip out the XREF within the boundary. Okay, unfortunately, I can't switch that once I've defined it. If I want to switch it, I have to undefine or delete the clipping, and then I have to clip the XREF again to change it to either the invert or the normal mode. All right, went about a minute over what I wanted to do, not too bad. Next week's session we'll start off with 3D viewing, the action recorder, and then we'll spend a lot of time going over the annotation, annotative text, and the mText options. All right. As you leave today, when you end out of the session, you will get a survey screen that'll ask you some of the kind of basic Nolte training eval questions. Plus, I have some items on there on asking you what you thought was good, what you'd like to see more on, what kind of tools and training you'd like to see in the future. Once we get through all the upgrade training, probably in the next month or so, we will. I plan on start doing just some more basic AutoCAD training and also doing some Civil 3D training sessions through these webinars. So that's all I'm going to do for today. I'd like to thank you all for your generous donation of your lunchtime to watch this, and hopefully it was worth it for you. And I look forward to speaking at you again next week. Thank you.